Okay, alcohol. It's high carb, low fat. So do I drink it? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hadley and I started this channel in an effort to combat low carb diets and calorie restriction and just overall not treating your body well. So today I want to talk about a topic that is very familiar to me, and that is drinking alcohol. So first of all, do I drink alcohol? No, I do not drink alcohol. I have not drank alcohol in for over 4 years now, and I will talk about why I have not drank alcohol and my reasonings on why I didn't drink alcohol in this video. So to start off, I kind of wanted to give like a rundown of my history with alcohol because it was long running and it took me a really long time to give up alcohol, even though I wanted to give up alcohol. So if you're on the same boat, maybe this can kind of help you out. So my alcohol journey, so to speak, started when I was like 15, 16. That is when I started drinking, and I did not know how to drink or like drink responsibly, if that's even a possibility, because I would just drink until I like basically passed out and blacked out and all that kind of stuff. And that drinking combined with not eating food is a bad combination. So yeah, I started off drinking at a very young age. I was very anxious and kind of depressed as a teenager, and I think I found drinking as a way to kind of like combat that or help me out because I didn't really have, coping mechanisms in my life. Well, first of all, I was starving. I was not eating enough, which never helps with your mental clarity and your mental health. I did not have a huge support system at home, and my life was a little bit chaotic. So I went to alcohol and illicit drugs in order to kind of like feel normal and feel happy and feel like I could socialize with other human beings. I started off at a very young age, and it kind of continued on into my 20s. I would go out and party like almost every single weekend, starting from like the age of 19 until like probably I was about like 27, 28. I would really look forward to going out. That would be like my week. Like I'd be at work, but I'd be like, okay, I just got to make it to the weekend. Or, sometimes I worked weekends, so that I guess I shouldn't say I went out every weekend. It was every weekend that I was not working. That I would go out and I would get drunk, and I would just look forward to like Friday so I could like go out and have some fun and get drunk and actually feel better about myself, and also get those carbohydrates in because I was on a very low carb diet most of the time, and I just like was really craving that kind of glucose hit, which you kind of get with alcohol, because I drink it with like pop or juice or, and then the alcohol itself. So I would go out every single weekend almost that I could. I would get absolutely wasted. I would just lay around the rest of the weekend. I would order crappy food. And I just kind of like was a cycle, and it went on that way for a while. And then it even continued after I went vegan, because I went vegan at the age of 24. I'm now 33. I continued to drink up until the age of 28, I guess. Yeah, so I would have 29, yeah. It was right before I got pregnant with my daughter, a couple of months before I got pregnant with my daughter. So yeah, I continued to drink, and it got to a point though where I stopped being able to really handle alcohol though. I would only be able to drink 1 or 2 drinks, and if I drank more than that, I would feel absolutely awful, like just terrible the next day or even that night. Like sometimes I would get like really bad facial flushing from drinking alcohol, and I would feel dehydrated and just like really crappy. But I was like craving beer. I love beer beer was like my alcohol of choice typically. I wasn't super into like hard liquor when I got into my older 20s because I was like really into like the craft beer scene, you know, like people, I'd go out and exercise with friends and, or like run with friends or go climbing or whatever, and I would, you know, be like have a beer, or we would go for long bike rides and I would be like, we would stop at, there was like a place called the Bike and Bean. If anyone's from Halifax or is familiar with Halifax, you go down the rails of trails, and about 25 kilometers in, there's a place called the Bike and Bean, and you can stop and you get food and alcohol. So we would, you know, bike 25 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers sometimes, and we would stop for alcohol. And I remember like drinking it and just like wanting to absolutely die like on the way back, because I had another 25 kilometers on top of like after all whatever we did, and then drinking alcohol, dehydrating myself, not fueling myself properly. It was a bad idea. Yeah, so you know, I would be always craving beer, and it took me a really long time, even though I was like, okay, I want to be healthy, I don't want to continue to drink because it like kind of ruins my weekend, it ruins my sleep, like I can't be as productive as I want to be. But I just like was still restricting my calories, so it was really hard for me to give up alcohol at that point, because I would just, you know, I'd be like, well, everybody else does it, or you know, it's social, I'm just going out and having fun, like it's not a big deal. But it was really affecting my life and my quality of life, and you know, all that. Plus, it's not healthy, as we all know. Drinking alcohol is not healthy. I don't believe that it is safe at any percentage or any amount. So, you know, that was another deterrent for me, because I always was trying to be healthy, like trying to be fit and healthy and in shape, and you know, but back then I definitely put more emphasis on being lean as opposed to being healthy. But I wanted to be healthy, but I was convinced like, oh well, I'm plant-based, so that just automatically makes me healthy. No, that does not automatically make you healthy, especially if you're like doing illicit drugs, or you're eating really fatty foods all the time, or you're drinking alcohol, which is exactly what I was doing at that time. Calorie restricting and just, you know, eating fatty foods once a while on top of all the alcohol that I would consume. Yeah, so it was not, it wasn't conducive to the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And like I said, it took me years, like literally years, for me to be like, okay, I need to stop drinking alcohol. And I think it was like January, like right after New Year's, my partner and I were out drinking, and I just like, I don't know, I just decided like, well, I knew that I had wanted to have our daughter or have a kid, and I had grown up in a household which one of my parents was not drunk, but they were under the influence a lot of the time of other substances. And it was not a fun situation. And I've seen other people like with their kids and being just drinking all the time, and like it's not a good experience for you, I'm sure, the parent, and it's definitely not a good experience for the kids. So I definitely wanted to stop drinking for that reason as well. So when we had kind of made that decision, okay, we're gonna have a child, I think that was really like the push that I kind of needed in order to stop. It's funny how we know things aren't good for us, but like sometimes it just takes like a push or something happening in order for us to like realize, okay, like this is really not this is really not good for me, and I really shouldn't do this. So yeah, I stopped drinking, and was kind of like, it was kind of like an eye-opening experience, because when I find alcohol is like a distraction. When you stop drinking, you kind of like realize what you really want out of life, as opposed to like just focusing on like this like drinking, hungover, I'm never doing that again, do it again cycle, where you're just like looking forward to basically numbing your senses because you just don't like your life, or you're unhappy with parts of your life, or maybe you're just like, you need those carbohydrates, so you're just like really looking forward to that kind of like carb hit, like I was with my beers, because I was drinking like double APIs a lot of the time, which is very carb heavy and very alcohol heavy. And anyways, so yeah, when I finally stopped and decided I was going to stop drinking, it kind of like really opened my eyes to like what I want out of life, and you know, it opened up to like more opportunities of like, well, this is actually really what I enjoy doing, and these are the people I actually like hanging out with, which is another thing. Like you kind of realize like, you know, maybe these people in my life that I go drinking with or partying with, when I stop doing the things that they're doing, we really don't have anything in common. We stop being like blitzed, you know? So there's that aspect of it. So that was basically my journey. And there's parts of it where like, you know, this is kind of like the sugar-coated nice version. Because when I was younger, I've ruined relationships, I've ruined friendships, like just done really crappy things that I would not have done otherwise if I had been in my right mind, sober, carved up, you know, that kind of thing. So it can really, you know, the decisions you make when you're drinking can really affect your life, along with your health, of course. So yeah, that was kind of like my story. So I can kind of like transition into like why I don't think it's healthy. Like obviously, like it was affecting my life. It was I was not able to exercise as effectively. Like, you know, I have tons of goals now where I, you know, I want to be athletic, and I want, and performance is kind of very important to me, both in my athletic feats and in my real life. And if I can't be mostly 100%, that kind of bothers me, which is why it was hard not sleeping when I had a newborn. But that's a whole other story. Yeah, so like it's basically just I wanted to be the best, healthiest version of myself, and I was never going to get there or be that when I was consuming alcohol. Even though, like I said, it is a high carb, low fat item because you know it's mostly carbohydrates. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that alcohol really affects your ability for your body to burn fat. So when you take in alcohol, your body is prefers to metabolize that alcohol before it metabolizes anything else. It also slows down the fat burning process when you have alcohol in your system. And the other thing is, of course, when you're drinking, you lower your inhibitions, and you end up possibly going out at like 3 a.m. and eating fast food or crap food or fatty foods that you might not normally drink if you were not drinking alcohol. Yeah, so I mean that was a deterrent for me too. Like obviously being lean and having performance is really important to me, health-wise and athletic-wise. So the fact that I was like doing something that was basically like counterproductive to my goals didn't really make a whole lot of sense. So if you were wanting to like ramp up your metabolism and, you know, be more active, you know, giving up alcohol is great. And I know, honestly, like I said, I know how hard that can be, and I know how, you know, how much society kind of like pushes it, and like how socially acceptable it is. But, you know, you don't have to partake, you don't have to be drinking with your friends. There's actually tons of really good non-alcoholic beers out there if that's something that you are interested in or you're craving. You can have something like that, or you could just have some fruit juice. Fruit juice is a great option in lieu of like say wine or something like that. And yeah, consuming alcohol will increase your risk of getting cancer. It could increase your risk of, you know, liver damage, liver failure eventually if you're really into it. And you know, it's the risks are not worth it. And like you get dehydrated, you can't sleep. You know, like you put your body into this like state where it's clearly like being almost like poisoned or damaged because you wake up the next day and you feel terrible, you can't do anything, you haven't slept well, you're probably dehydrated. So, you know, it's just, for me personally, I think it's better to not put your body through that. I don't think the risk, like, it's pretty high risk. I don't think it's worth it. But yeah, I mean, that is why I just wanted to make this video, because I think about this sometimes, and I'm like, well, alcohol is high carb, but you know, it's not. It doesn't really give you any benefits. It doesn't really provide you any nutrients in that regard. So for me, it's better to not consume it. I honestly think that your physique will be better, your sleep will be better, your skin will be better, your mental clarity will be better if you do not consume alcohol. Obviously, there's also the whole like decision making, like you could end up making or doing things that you probably will regret in the future, and maybe you do things like damage that it's non-reversible. Been there, done that. It's not a good time. So if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would be like, listen, let's not do this. Let's carb up. Let's find like focus and purpose in our life, so that we don't end up, you know, binge drinking and relying on substances in order to fulfill our lives and make us happy. So yeah, that's my video for today. If you are struggling with alcohol at all or anything like that, know that you were not alone, because like I said, it took me years in order for me to stop drinking and give it up completely. So you know, sometimes it's a process to kind of like put these things out of your life, especially if they become a habit. And yeah, so if you have any comments or questions, just leave them down below, and I really appreciate you watching this video and any of my other videos. If you want, you can like or subscribe, or yeah, just thank you so much for being here, and take really good care, and bye.